Welcome everybody to our first podcast of Make the Cut. I'm Colton.
And I'm Chief. Make the cut.
Make the Cut. First ever podcast. First ever episode of Make the Cut.
This is exciting. So the premise of it is we're going to pick we're having categories. We're going to pick our top 5. Sometimes we're going to be somewhere in the same ballpark.
No.
Sometimes we might be really different. Again, this is our opinion. You might not agree with us. You can always comment.
Comment what you think.
But today we're talking about something pretty cool for our first episode ever.
Yep.
What we got
Today
going on,
we are
Cole?
talking about Heisman Hijacks. So those include the Heisman Snubs, the people who should have won it, and the most undeserving winners, the ones who probably should have just gave it to someone else.
Yep. And then we're also going to talk about our top 5 of the guys we thought should have won it, and they didn't. Might be shocked by a few of those, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, hey, guys, welcome to Make the Cut.
Make the Cut.
All right.
Wow, what a catch by the rookie! Ridiculous! Balotelli, Aguero!
Here makes the first guy miss. The spin move at the last second, and then what Tiki? You're right. What is that,
Bro.
Deep field. Base hit to right field. Here comes Richardson. Here's the throw for Montaigne. Richardson is safe. Derek Jeter ends his final game with a walk-off single. Derek Jeter will
All right, so let's kick things off.
Well, you know what? I was going to talk about
Oh, yeah.
why is it called the Heisman? In case that no one knows, and I took a few notes, because I actually was curious. So I looked up. So it's named after John Heisman. Played football way back in the day, 20s and 30s, was a really prolific, dominant coach, very good at what he did. It was actually called the Downtown Athletic Club Award. They called it the DAC for short. It was just weird.
It's just a
The
long name,
DAC.
too long.
The Heisman started, you know what year it started?
1950.
1935.
Ooh, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, well, a long time before me.
Yeah.
No, don't say any jokes about my age. So anyways, 1935 it started. 1936, he was the director of the first one ever. He ended up passing away with pneumonia. So that next year, they ended up naming it after him, and it's been the Heisman Award ever since. So pretty cool. Fortunately, why it got named after him, but
Yeah.
he earned the honor, either way. So, all right, man, let's get into
It's
it.
a cool way to remember him. All right, so let's get into this. Okay, so first we're going to talk about the most undeserving winners. Once again, who probably should have just gave it to someone else. Okay. All right, here we go. So,
Number 5.
number 5 for me. Big take here, big take. My number 5 written down here. My number 5. Gino Toretto from 1992.
Really?
Here is my reason why.
Okay.
So, Gino Toretto. Gino Toretto was part of Miami. Miami was a stacked team, but he wasn't the most electric player on the team. There was more guys on that team that could have.
I can agree with that.
He not trying to doubt him. He was pretty good, but
He was. He might be on my list.
There's more other people.
Yeah.
There's more people.
Okay, so that's your number 5?
That's number 5.
Okay, all right. My number 5 is Jason White. Yeah, again, one of those quarterbacks that was pretty good, but he was, not exciting, not prolific.
Yeah.
We had Larry Fitzgerald at the same time, who had 22 touchdowns in 12 games. He was a wide receiver, so sometimes that plays a part in it. But just to me, he probably shouldn't have won it that year. But that's why he's my number 5. All right, well, now we're going into our number 4.
Number 4.
All right, here we go. What do you got?
Quick. Okay, my number 4. Charles Woodson, 1997. So, don't get me wrong. Really great cornerback. Really good cornerback. Let's see. He had 3. No. Yeah, that's. Okay. Here's why he shouldn't have won it. Peyton Manning. What a season he had.
He was pretty good.
3,800.
I've heard of him.
3,800 passing yards. And still did not win it.
Okay.
And a cornerback took that from him.
Right. Well, that's he did play both ways.
Yeah, but.
That's what the argument is about that. He was a two-way player.
But 3,800 yards is too good to not win the Heisman.
That's pretty good.
For me.
Okay.
Especially
I like that.
in 1997.
Okay. Well, my number 4 is Gino Toretto, which was your number 5.
Yep.
Again, he was on a stacked team. He only threw for 19 touchdowns. He had 7 interceptions.
Yeah.
So, again, not huge, amazing stats. That year, Marshall Faulk was second. In my opinion, that's probably who should have won it.
Should've won.
Yeah, he had a little over 1,600 yards and 15 touchdowns in only 11 games.
Pretty.
My opinion. That's why Gino Torretta
pretty
wasn't
impressive
deserving
for
of
him.
that year, 1992. But that's my number 4, Gino Torretta.
Number 4. All right. So now we're moving on to our number 3s. My number 3 is Eric Crouch from 2001.
Let me just say, that's my number 3, Eric Crouch,
Eric Crouch.
from 2001.
Here's
Let's
why.
talk about
We
it.
can kind of piggyback off each
Oh,
other
yeah.
here. So, he's just too systematic. It just goes by the plays every time. It's just almost the same thing every time, and people are amazed every time for some reason. He's a great leader,
He was a
really
very
is.
good leader.
but
And he had some
that should
really good runs as a quarterback. To me, he was almost more of a running back
and
than
he
a quarterback. You know how many touchdowns he passed for that year in 2001?
5,
Close, 7.
7, and that's
The Heisman winner
7.
threw for 7 touchdowns.
And that's why it was more just because of his running. That's probably
He
why
has
he
the
won.
least exciting Heisman resume, in my opinion, of any Heisman winner since 1935.
And
The
if
least exciting.
If you look at it, it's just like,
Yeah.
how did he win?
Yeah, but I totally agree with that. He went against some strong competition, in my opinion. We're going to talk about someone else that I think should have won it that year, but we'll get there. But yeah, Eric Crouch, number 3, for sure.
Yeah, I like that.
Probably should have
Get into
handed it off
Yeah.
to someone else.
Yeah, sure. All right, number 2. My number 2.
We're getting down to it. Uh-oh. 2 left.
Let's see what we have here.
All right.
My number 2 is Mark Ingram from 2009. So Ingram had some numbers, but they weren't that crazy. I mean, we had way better people that year. I mean, let's see. Toby Garrett had way more yards, more touchdowns, and played for a tinier team, and still did better.
Yeah, Toby Gerhart played for Stanford.
Yeah, and still
He had some great
did
stats
better
that
than
year.
Mark Ingram.
Yeah.
Playing with the small team, so that's why
Yeah.
he's at my number.
Well,
2
who'd Mark
spot.
Ingram play for? Do you remember?
Who
Did you look
was
that up? Alabama. Played in the SEC.
SEC. It's
I
a
think
SEC
it was more of an
bias.
Alabama win. I think
so.
it was an SEC bias. In our opinion,
If-
we respect the SEC. It's good,
If Toby
good football
Gerhart's
conference.
on Alabama, he's winning.
Most likely.
It's
I-
a little
I-
SEC bias there.
I partially can agree with that.
Division bias.
Yep.
So that's what I think.
My number 2 actually comes from 1987. You probably don't even know this name. Tim Brown.
No, I do not.
So, great player, another wide receiver, good on special teams. Again, stats don't really speak for the Heisman, in my opinion. So,
Exactly.
39 catches. That's it. 846 yards total. You know how many touchdowns he caught? 3.
And you win the Heisman
1, 2,
with that?
3.
That's-
Yeah, so to me, I just don't think that's the mark of the best college football player in America. But 1987 also was, to me, when you look at the football players, I think it was a bit of a rough year. There wasn't really that much. Yeah, it was kind of weak that year. There was one guy I thought maybe that was deserving, but he ended up he was 7th. And that was Thurman Thomas, who played for the Buffalo Bills in the 90s, who a great running back, the great Buffalo Bills teams that lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. But you know what he had? He ran for over 1,600 yards. He had 17 touchdowns, and he averaged 6.4 yards per carry. Those are Heisman numbers to me.
Yeah.
But hey, we don't pick them, I guess, except now because we're making the cut.
Our opinions.
All right, here we go. Now we're to our number 1 pick
Number 1 pick. This is the biggest pick of the day.
of the guys who robbed the real winner of the trophy.
Actually should have just handed it off. Like, it's not your trophy. They probably still show it.
All right, I'm going to go with my number 1 because I don't know what your number 1 is, but you've actually already named my number 1. So you'll wrap this up. I got Mark Ingram as my number 1 because, again, I think he won it because he rushed for Alabama. Colt McCoy for Texas. Great quarterback that year. He led his team to a 13-1 record, won the Big 12 championship. They ended up losing in the national championship game. That was their first loss. Toby Gerhart, again, rushed for 1,800 yards, 28 touchdowns, Heisman numbers.
And you can't
Mark
win,
Ingram
like-
still had a lot of yards, but it
Yeah,
just
he-
wasn't the prolific Heisman winner if he, I think, played for somewhere else.
Yeah.
I think he won it because it was Alabama, SEC.
That's what I was saying. SEC is
Yeah.
just, it's always biased. Up
Yeah.
there.
Absolutely. All right, so I'm curious. Who's your number 1, my guy?
My number 1. Are you ready for
I'm
this?
ready for it.
All right, my number 1 from 2003 is Jason White.
Oh, that was. Oh, ooh, wow, that was my number 5.
Jason
Okay.
White. This is why. 2 ACL tears.
He did. That's right. He came
And
off
you
of that.
still come and win. And I respect the comeback. Like, don't doubt that. I do respect that. But Larry Fitzgerald was on another level that year.
I agree. He was on, and he ended up being an amazing wide receiver in
And-
the NFL.
Yeah.
I have some stats about Jason White. I don't know, do you have those yards?
No, I do not.
So he threw. Now stats aren't that bad. He threw for over 3,800 yards.
Yeah, he was a great.
40 touchdowns.
I respect the comeback and what he did, but it's still.
But I think it might have just been more of because he was a strong Oklahoma team, maybe.
Mm-hmm. And the comeback, just it was more fan like, oh, that'd be good if this guy tore his ACL twice would come. And win the Heisman.
I mean, I respect it. Yeah, I respect the comeback.
Really
maybe he should have just won the comeback player of the year award.
But he limped to the finish line. It was barely making it.
He was limping, all right.
Like,
so I do have a bonus player on here that we didn't mention. It's just kind of an old school player. Comes from 1956.
It's pretty old school.
Notre Dame. Back in the days, the 40s, the 50s, Notre Dame was one of those big schools. There wasn't a lot of. All right, see, we got the jokes again. Okay. So Paul Hornig. I wanted to make sure I said that.
Oh,
right.
I saw.
You saw that, right? So he won the Heisman that year, 1956. A good leader,
this is insane.
right? His team record for Notre Dame that year: 2 wins, 8 losses.
How do you win the Heisman, the best award you can get as a player?
2 wins.
And you win 2.
Can you imagine someone winning the Heisman today with 2 wins and 8 losses? I can't fathom.
And maybe his team,
the country were
the best, but still,
it set everything on fire.
like,
ready for his stats real quick? So you might think, oh, well, he still maybe the defense was just really bad.
Yeah, maybe he was terrible. Maybe the line was terrible.
Yeah, he threw for 3 touchdowns on the season.
It doesn't get worse than that.
13 interceptions with 3 touchdowns. That's not a typo. I researched it a few different places to make sure, maybe this is,
maybe
someone's just hating on Notre Dame.
Exactly.
No. But I will tell you, who was another finalist that same year? One of the greatest running backs of all time, Jim Brown. So,
Didn't
I don't know.
win.
Yeah, so anyways, thought that was a shocking a win right there. So I just wanted to bring that up. Not in the top 5, because it's from 1956, but still thought.
Even just having an 8-5 record this year, you still wouldn't even come close to winning the Heisman. So thinking that he won the Heisman on 2 and 8 is pretty insane.
I thought so too.
Yeah. So
Oh, that's our first top 5.
top 5, first top 5. All
And
time.
if you don't agree with us, that's okay. And if you got name dropped, we still respect you.
Yeah,
You're
always.
good. Still a good college football player. Don't get me wrong.
Always.
Don't get me wrong. Okay, so
All these guys
now
are amazing.
we're jumping in. Let's flip it. So we're talking about dudes that should have lifted the trophy up, but they
taken away.
they didn't get the chance, but they should have. So in our opinion, these are some guys maybe weren't even in the run. In my opinion, I have a guy on here that wasn't really even in the running, but I just respect his game.
Yeah.
And then we got some that were so close that the votes were, less than 30.
It was almost.
Yeah.
It came down almost to 2 people.
Yeah. All right. So this is our next part. We're talking about top 5.
Yep.
All right. Number 5.
All right, my number 5 for the top 5 Heisman Snubs. My number 5 is Vince Young from 2005.
Okay.
C.
Great year.
He
Great
was the
quarterback.
best player in the country. And one of the greatest games ever he played. That game against USC.
I watched it live. It was amazing.
That one was really good.
Yeah.
I watched the highlights of that one. I wasn't
Yeah,
alive,
you weren't alive.
but
Yeah, you watched
I
highlights. It was an amazing game.
It was really good.
Incredible.
Should have. How does he not win that year?
The team that he played against in the national championship had a couple good players too.
They did, but
So it
still.
was a good year for football.
I see it a little iffy. That's why he's on my 5. But still, he should have came closer to winning.
Yep.
Than he did. So
He might be on my list. I might drop in a little note about what I think about that.
that's why.
All right, so I wanted to talk about my number 5 real quick, and I know it's a little shocking. He actually was in the running in 1997, but I think he actually had a better year, in my opinion, as a freshman in 1996, and that's Randy Moss. Randy Moss, one of the greatest wide receivers ever, in my opinion. Love this game. I think he's a great guy. But he was up for the Heisman 97, didn't win it. But 96, and here's the problem: is he played for a Division I AA school,
Marshall, right?
Marshall,
Yeah.
out of West Virginia. So still a respectable school, great football team. But stat wise, tied Jerry Rice, probably the best wide receiver of all time. Tied his record for most touchdown catches in a season with 28. That's incredible. And has the freshman record for most reception yards in a season with 1,709 yards. That's a lot.
It's really impressive. Still
Super impressive. With all my research, it looks like it. They actually have a record for just Division I, which is about 400 yards less. So, but here's my question about Randy Moss. Randy Moss played at Florida State. He ended up getting released at the time. So my question is, what if Randy Moss was able to stay at Florida State? I think
things would have changed.
I think FSU would have probably won another or two more national championships.
They would have added it.
Yeah,
3, it would have been 5.
being across from Peter Warwick and those great teams of the Seminoles of the '90s, I think he would have probably won the Heisman in my opinion.
And us being Florida State fans, I'm not complaining about that.
That's just my cut,
Yeah.
just my take.
I like that.
All right, number 4, I'll go with mine because it actually was your number 5, and that's Vince Young. Unfortunately, I think why he didn't get it, again, prolific, amazing quarterback. Matt Leinart, he won it the year before, the quarterback for USC, and then Reggie Bush was just an electric player who ended up winning it that year in 2005. So really not hating on those players and their stats, but what Vince Young did is just incredible how he kind of, Texas was good, but he carried that team on his back. But if the Heisman voting could have been after the national championship, which they beat USC, I think they give the Heisman to Vince Young that year. But, timing matters.
Really matters.
All right, man. Number 4, who you got?
My number 4 played in 2007 to 2008. It's Michael Crabtree.
Okay. Yeah.
Michael Crabtree.
Another wide receiver. Respect it.
Back-to-back 1,900-yard seasons.
Yeah, and he played at Texas Tech.
Yes.
That's where Patrick Mahomes played, right?
Yes.
Texas Tech, I believe. Yeah.
And
So,
another stat. He had 41 touchdowns in those 2 seasons.
Wow.
Averaging about 20 per season.
Wow.
And he kept doing that as he went on.
He did. Great wide receiver. I respect that. Yeah, I think he probably, again, sometimes it comes down to it's not always a wide receiver award.
And even in the rivalry, I saw this highlight against Texas. The catch in 2008, I saw it.
It was pretty awesome.
That
catch against Texas, yeah.
He's still the rival, and he still puts it up in 1,800 yards back-to-back seasons.
Yeah.
And you don't win any of those years?
Yeah, I believe because he made that catch and beat Texas. I think it was Josh Heupel. I think that was the quarterback for Oklahoma who ended up winning it.
Yeah.
His catch, even though it was crazy, I think solidified him winning the award, not Michael Crabtree.
It was,
but
yeah, he was definitely robbed that year.
Agreed. All right, number 3, who you got, man?
My number 3 from 2003, Larry Fitzgerald. Talked about him, how he should have won in my Undeserving Winners. So, 22 touchdowns in 12 games.
Yep.
Like, nobody could guard him at all. He
Yep.
was on that field, and I would have just gave up.
Yep.
He was moving so quick.
Yeah.
22 touchdowns.
Pretty amazing.
In 12
Again,
games.
so another wide receiver.
Yes, that's why QBs probably get it a little more.
QBs and running backs. Yeah.
It's more,
That's rare for a wide receiver, but there's been some great ones. They probably, some of those should have lifted the trophy. My number 3, Rex Grossman from 2001.
Oh.
Yeah, because he was robbed by Eric Crouch. Big time. This is to me one of the, I know he's number 3, but it's one of the biggest snubs. It was almost my number 1.
Yeah.
Rex Grossman threw for over 4,000 yards. Over 4,000? 34 touchdowns. And he also rushed for 5 touchdowns. I know we talked about Crouch, who was a runner and had some big runs, and he tough kid. That's fine.
You have to have all the elements.
Yeah,
Not all of it. Eric Crouch did not.
But Eric Crouch, they ended up, going to the national title game. I think what hurt Rex Grossman for the Gators is they lost a few games. One of them being to an unranked Auburn team. So sometimes that does play into the voters.
Yeah, you have to.
I don't know if that really should.
You have to win those games.
Because the Heisman is an individual award. It's a team award, but it's still an individual award. But anyways, to me, Rex Grossman, number 3 on my list, should have been raising the trophy.
I agree.
All right. Number 2.
Number 2 for me from 1997. Almost was my first, but I came up with another one. Love this guy. His name's Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning.
Talked about him before. You know him?
I know Eli.
Eli.
Another great guy. No, yeah, Peyton. Okay, go ahead.
So how do you not give the trophy to Peyton Manning? He had the numbers, the leadership, the spirit. He's one of the best teammates out there. Let's see if I have stats down. No, I don't.
He threw for a lot.
Yeah, he did. That's why I didn't put it. Because, what else do you need to win the Heisman? He did every single aspect to get the Heisman.
Yeah.
And still ended up losing.
Yeah.
It was
great career though, and he had a prolific, amazing NFL career.
Was it cornerback that won it that year or something? I don't know.
Charles Woodson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
comes
was-
back to you thought shouldn't have won it. Yeah.
Mhm.
And don't get me wrong, Charles Woodson, amazing football player,
But you
amazing
can't
athlete,
take that-
without a doubt.
You can't take that away from him.
Yeah.
That was too good of a
I
season.
respect that choice,
Too
number
good of a
2.
season.
Okay, mine is this year. My number 2 is from this year.
Wow.
You weren't ready for
Are you
that.
going to say Ashton?
Ashton
Yep.
Genty. Travis Hunter.
Wow.
Amazing.
Really good.
Amazing
Really
football
good
player.
guy,
I think
too.
is going to probably be amazing in NFL. I'm going to be curious if they use him both ways in NFL. I don't know how you can. I don't know if his body can handle it, but if he can,
It's Travis
wow,
Hunter, yeah.
MVP. Pretty quick if he does that. But to me, yeah, Travis Hunter, I don't think it's a toss-up either way. I just think I wrote down some stats here. Ashton Genty ran for almost 2,500 yards, 29 touchdowns. I think one of them, he had actually 30 touchdowns. One of them was receiving. So 2,500 yards. His yards after contact. So once someone hits him, he stayed on his feet,
Still
kept going. Ready for this?
And he's not that big of a guy.
1,882 yards. So once they hit him, he kept going.
And he,
I don't know. That to me says you win the Heisman just from that stat. Just from that stat alone, you win the Heisman for me. So yes, I know it's recent. We talked about it a bunch of years, but to me, Travis Hunter, one of the best two-way stars of all time. I think he'll continue to be that in the NFL. I think what hurt Ashton Genty is the conference he played in. I think that hurts a little bit, but Travis Hunter played in the Big 12. That's not a big-time conference anymore. I just think this year Ashton deserved it just a little bit more. So that's my number 2.
yeah, I agree. If he was on a different team, it probably would have been a little bit different. The
Yeah.
same for Travis Hunter. It would have been a little bit different, too.
Yeah. Sometimes it's time. There's some years where there's some, like, I see the list, and I'm like, none of these guys should be
But,
on the
like,
list. But there was
Boise State wasn't that good of a team. It was just
They were
Ashton
all right.
Genty.
They made it. Boise State made it into the playoffs,
Ashton
even though they
Genty.
lost in the first round.
Ashton Genty. why.
Yeah, so there's some years where like multiple guys should, like, I wish I can give out a couple trophies.
Yeah.
Because
They should.
there's so many quality guys in a season.
See, they should do an offensive.
They do that. They have those.
Yeah,
They have
but
those out
Still,
there.
it should still be multiple.
That would be extra podcast time. And, our NIL deals aren't paying for that. Just kidding. All right, so I'm going to go with my number 1 so you can wrap it up.
Yeah,
So
you're
the
right.
final episode of making the cut of our first episode ever.
Yep.
It's been real. It's been fun.
It's been real.
You've already named this guy. My number 1 is Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
So without a doubt, of all the ones, Peyton Manning definitely should have lifted the trophy up. I won't go in the stats. You've already talked about it. Again, he lost to Charles Woodson. Great player, but his stats just don't hold up. 1997, Manning led the Vols to an 11-1 regular season record and ended up beating Auburn in the SEC championship game, 30-29. They went to the Orange Bowl and won that as well. Oh, no, they actually lost in the Orange Bowl. I apologize. They actually got smoked in the Orange Bowl. But Peyton Manning, to me, hands down, the biggest robbery of all time, biggest snub of all time, should have won the Heisman in 1997.
All right.
All right, man, this is it.
My number 1 snub. Somewhat recent. And don't get me wrong, the guy who did win, really good. So my number 1 is Christian McCaffrey in 2015.
Stud.
Derrick Henry, amazing.
Stud. But who do you play for? Alabama.
Who Christian McCaffrey play for?
Yeah, but
No, it was like California.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
I think it was Stanford.
It was like
I think it was Stanford.
it wasn't
Actually,
too big
I
of a
don't know off the top of
California
my
school,
head.
but
I think it was Stanford.
But
But it was
he
a West
said-
Coast school either way.
he set an all-time purpose. What is it? A purpose yardage.
All-purpose yards.
All-purpose yard record, and he still lost.
Yeah, that's
The whole
that
thing.
sat itself an all-purpose yards record. He was an all-around.
And I think his
Again, we're kind of talking about like Travis Hunter, an all-around
Yeah.
great player.
and yeah, his career in the NFL has showed why he should have won it.
Stud.
'Cause he's insane,
And we will say this: the voters don't know; they can't think
Yeah.
about what their NFL future is going to be like.
but he's proven why he should have won. He proved everything, and that's why he's my number 1.
I can respect that. I think he probably should have
When you break
won it
records
year
like
too.
that,
Yeah.
same with Peyton. Like
Again, it's
he
an
should
individual award,
win. Mhm.
and when you break it, it's a pretty amazing record.
Just
Probably should have won.
very school and SEC bias there for me once again.
Hey, man, we just knocked out our first podcast ever of Make the Cut.
It's been real.
That's been fun. Hey, I'm curious. What are your biggest Heisman snubs? Biggest Heisman frauds? Hit us up on the socials. We're dropping those in. Drop a review. Put in the comment. What are they supposed to smash? They're supposed to smash something.
Smash that like button. by the way.
Smash that like button. Yeah, that's what I heard you. Yes, smash that like button. All right, man. Well, that was pretty cool. So expect more of this. We're going to try to bring more material to you guys. We're going to pick topics. Maybe do you have a topic you want us to discuss to pick the
Drop
top
it
5?
down and
Yeah, let us know what you think. But we'll be doing this more often, and you know, hopefully we come up with some good ones.
Yep.
Make some crazy top 5s. It's going to be fun.
all
Hey,
right.
man.
See you next time.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming and making the cut.
See y'all later.
Wow, what a catch by the rookie!
Ridiculous.
Balotelli,